Hello. Yay. Marriott in the house. Yeah. Marriott don't land. Oh. Hey, Marriott. Hey. In fact, let me send you some champagne. Let me send you some champagne. You deserve them. You deserve them. You've been, hey. Marriott show one time. Yeah. Let me send you some flowers. Hmm? Oh, I feel loved, oh, Miriam. Thank you for showing up on time. I need to make you moderator. You must be moderator. Eh? Eh? What? What? Welcome, Marriott. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is your girl, Omoya's Corner. Welcome, highly favored. Greetings to you. How you guys doing? How's your week? How's the start to your week been? I hope it's been great, and I hope that everything is um the weather has been warm, or you've been getting warmer, you've been trying to keep warm however way, right, to keep this cold away. Now welcome now, Maria. Oh, I appreciate your diligence. So no, I cannot overlook that. Are you kidding me, Maria? Hey, you're very special. In fact, moderator is coming up. In fact, thank you. So now it's your girl Omoye's Corner coming right back to you today, people. I want to talk about this matter. Hmm. TikTok was on fire. Say me, I dey slide enter TikTok because man, they say lot to learn. Oh, in fact, people when they go university, if you go TikTok, you go get degree. Oh, I'm telling you, the knowledge there is not here. Now I understand why they've been trying to ban TikTok. Omo, the knowledge is not here. History, oh, background, religion, oh, background, anything you want learn. Oh my goodness. There's a particular guy that I follow. My goodness. The guy is a walking encyclopedia and history. He's a walking encyclopedia. And what am I saying? A walking library. Literally. And he's so good at what he does. My God. Chai! That guy supposed day one university and they teach history. That's how knowledgeable he is. Yeah, Gosa, long time. Happy New Year, Gosa. Where have you been? Hey, Gosa, is this you? Is this your face I'm seeing in your profile picture? Hey. Oh, I'm so sorry. No favor now. Oh, no. You don't tell when I say, I think that Marriott they ask of you, which day I can't say wait to. I be like say I see me Egosa for I think that Sister B Obodo Yibo TV one time. So I know, and I think you stopped by a little bit. But I say, but you don't say we don't ask of you tire. Thank you for sure. I'm so happy to have you on here. Welcome, happy new year. I hope your year has started with a bang, as in all the many things when you they expect for the year. Now so it go they fall on you, they fall on you. Welcome. It's so good to have you. Welcome, my people. So anyway, as I was saying, Neka, my darling, welcome, guys, welcome. Make yourselves comfortable. Make yourselves comfortable. Oluwa Samuel, welcome. Make yourselves comfortable. Thank you. Please don't forget to like. Hey, let me quickly address this. So I got an email from a few people saying that it looked like I blocked them or I removed them. I do not remove anyone from my channel unless you were constituting nuisance at one time, which I think there were not very many people that were doing that. And I was like, and they knew themselves. So please, I have actually noticed that my subscriber count has dropped. I don't know why. YouTube, I don't know if there's something that we need to understand for those of us on the street. Please let us know because I noticed it too. So if you've experienced that, you're noticing that it's not for me at all. Maybe what you want to do is maybe unsubscribe if it's still showing you as subscribe. Unsubscribe and then subscribe again. That's the only explanation I have. So I don't know. And so I am sorry that that's happening. I can't explain exactly why. It's kind of funny on this YouTube street. I'm still trying to learn my way through. It's not easy. Plus, you got to do your own thing and then come up here. So there's only so much I know. So I don't understand it myself. So I'm sorry if this is happening to you, but for now, just unsubscribe and then subscribe again. Yeah. So, okay, guys. Area Natu has landed. Natu now who they breathe, they happen. Where they happen. Welcome, welcome, Natu. Yes, so one and only admin. Oh my God, host with the most. Welcome, my sister. So this matter. So I saw a video. Well, I know actually saved this video, but the person was talking about how values can affect um you know values can your values can affect the person you marry, because people come from different backgrounds and all of that. So the person that was doing this, that was talking about this on TikTok, happened to be one of our cousins here, African American, and she was saying that she married an African. I think she married a Nigerian, and the culture was so different. It was not easy for her. There were a lot of things that, her ex-husband, person happens to be her ex, that the person was doing that she couldn't really quite understand, and it didn't work out because, so she was kind of sending out a warning that her people should be careful when they're dating Africans, because we have a very that the man has all the say in Africa and the woman has very little say, and you're expected to do everything. You're expected to cook meals and all of that, and the way they and also the way they bring kids up is so different to her. It seemed like the ex-husband is always trying to instill fear in her child's life, and she didn't like it anyway, amongst many other issues, right? So now I can say, wait a minute, oh, this topic will be a good topic to address. Cool Mama, welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see you, Cool Mama. How now? How's everything? You don't tell when I see you. I hope your side, at least it's warmer than where I am, hopefully. So anyway, so I decided to bring it here so we can talk about it. Do you think that um do you guys think that marrying someone with the same values, or actually marrying someone with the same values, is it a recipe for success? So because you and I have different, the same on the, we grew up in the same environment, and we're used to different things, does it automatically translate to success in whatever relationship or marriage that we're having? So I want us to talk about it. If you think that, then let me know, please. I'm going to be sharing my link. I beg my people. I no go pay for here tonight. Baby girl has chores to do after this, and I have to do this before I go to bed tonight. So Ejo, Eshanuni. So let's talk about this. For me, I don't know personally. Me, I think say it's an individual thing. It's not something you can say, oh yeah, for everybody that's how it works. I think it depends on the person, on the parties involved, and also I think it has to do with the ability of each person to adapt and understand where the other person is coming from, because I've seen, some couples who are married to people from different totally different environments, and they're able to cope, and the other person understands. There's an understanding as to how they want to raise their kids, and it's never an issue. So Mirabelle, welcome, Mirabelle. Have you finally gotten your soup? Has your soup landed? Me, I'm waiting for my own. I'm tracking it. Oh my God, it's still in transit. Can you imagine that? But anyway, oh wow, it's 52 degrees now. Is that cold? That's cold? 52 degrees is cold. But of course, it can't be compared to people who are like what negative degrees. So make we know to talk before they come shout for our head, say whether we know it cold be. Over here it's like 58 degrees. Yeah. So it's still cold too with the wind. It's been very windy. So my people, make we talk about make we address this topic. Mm, culture is not the same as values. She could have married an African who shared similar values with her, but she didn't. Yeah, I guess it's continuing. Yeah, that's true. Culture is different from values. Let me see. Yeah, it is true. You're right, Marriott. Culture is different from values. That's true. Yep. So is it, but having the same values, like say two of them get the same value and I believe on the same thing, is it really a recipe for success in marriages, or are there any other thing that has to also be in that ingredient, because I know no two people are the same and we all come from different backgrounds. So how is it that you can, maybe I grew up in the north, you grew up in the south, there's a difference, and maybe you're from the north and there's a way you guys have a different way of doing things that's totally different from where I come from you know Rosa says it may lead to a successful relationship. However, one's values or dreams may change down the line. That's a great point, Egosa. And may decide to change path. If there's no solid friendship, the relationship will suffer. Wow. Interesting. Egusa, that's a very, very great point. That's true. Values you change because as you go, as you mature, as you experience things, as you develop or evolve, there's certain things you would not hold on to anymore. You just trash it and say this is trash, right? That makes sense, so Egusa. Yes, I am. Thank you, my darling. Yes, 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 I am. Right? So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm processing it. Like culture is one thing, value is another thing. And to your point, Egusa, you're absolutely right about that. Your values may change depending on what you're exposed to and how you have evolved, what's working for you and what's not working for you. I said shared values, but not. But Mr. Ola pointed out that even who's Mr. Ola? That even when people share values, situational crisis happens and couples can still have different ways of dealing with it and can lead to conflict. That's also true. Oh. Who be Mr. Ola, by the way? Another YouTuber. That's also very true. No matter how how much similar values you have, sometimes you na go quarrel for something. Na go quarrel. Maybe the way the person say they press toothpaste. That's the easiest one. Or the way the person say they use bathroom. Go, oh, really? He talked about the same thing? That is the weirdest thing. Whoa, wow. Yeah. Now, wow. Consensus of the mind, I guess. Interesting. Yeah, so I was looking through it because I always look through TikTok, man. There's so much knowledge there. So when I was listening to this woman and she was talking, of course, she said her experience was not the best, which I mean, that's life. But some of the things she was saying, I think it had to do with the way we were brought up, and the environment we were brought up in. In Nigeria, there's a way that they have a different way of bringing up children. A lot of kids cannot talk back to their parents. You be considered rude, and if you're not listening, they will tell you you're stubborn and you don't listen. It's easy for them to tag you. So for most, sometimes for people who grew up here, they have the um, freedom to grow and become and express themselves as much as possible. Matter of fact, if you suppress them, it's going to cause another problem for them. So I could see that happening where someone is very expressive in the way they communicate, and the other person is like, "This is too much. What is it? Is it every time you have feelings, you're in your feelings, you're in your feelings?" Which a typical Nigerian, if you grow up in Nigeria and you're brought up that way, you're not used to that. So it will be like, say, the person, the person he nag you. Shared values can be one of the many other ingredients to make a successful marriage. Yeah, I think so too. Shared values. But is it, of course, I'm sure there are, what other recipes are there that can enhance the relationship even more? Because of course we know shared values is just one. There are other things that are, it's like cooking soup. It's like cooking soup. My darling Marriott.
Hi.
Hello, darling. How is the weather over there?
We're actually quite warm today. We're currently at 1 degree. So
Oh, wow.
this is very this is very
Yay!
warm. This is very warm for January here
That's
because
progress because you guys have been in the negative for a while.
well, I'm in Toronto, so Toronto tends to be warmer than a lot of other places.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, but even then it's supposed to be like -15 right now. But I think because we've had a very warm summer, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
warm winter in general,
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
but that's good. Hey,
Yeah.
make the best of it. That's true.
I'm not going anywhere. Um, so I'm only calling because I'm waiting for the married people to come and educate us.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping we marry not to come and educate us. So,
Yeah.
ah,
So maybe I'll say something so annoying, and somebody be like, "Let me correct these
let
people."
me correct exactly.
Um. Yeah, it's funny because on Man of Prestige, I was listening because I was reading. So I had
Hmm.
it in the background. So he was talking about something else initially, and then touched on I think a guy um, had been on Anti's channel. I didn't watch, so I don't know. But he had maybe called in and talked about this story, like about his life, what was happening with him. So Man of Prestige read out his email, and that's when he was basically talking about how the partner was half American, half Canadian, blah blah blah, and basically they had challenges with how they were raising their kids as well. So I had made a comment about shared values, and then he kind of enlightened me and said, even if you have shared values, like things will happen in your life as a couple. That even if you do share the same similar values, how you're going to handle the situation is not going to be the same, and it can cause conflicts. Like example, like with kids. But to my earlier comments, like that person, it's not because the person's African or this person's African American. You've chosen somebody that doesn't share. And I've told the story of a guy that I went on a couple of dates with that was telling me that, oh, he wants to be the kind of dad that when he, sorry, am I echoing?
No, you're fine
Okay.
so far.
Okay. So he said that he wants to be the kind of dad that when he honks his horn at the gate, all the kids just spread, disappear. Everybody opens their book. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but he said that night, and I said, no, I'm not. I'm never seeing this guy anymore. Like, and obviously, like looking back, it's probably not a reason to not speak to somebody anymore. But for a host of other reasons, he wasn't a good candidate. But
Right.
something like that really struck me because I didn't grow up in a home like that.
Hmm.
Like, all my people say that, oh, you talk to your father, you're shaking, you can't enter your father's room. I don't recognize that. So it's not the fact that the person is African. It's because you, as an African or American person, you were looking for a partner and you didn't focus on those things. You focused on other things. And then because now you're having challenges, you're saying, oh, it's because they're African. No. There are people in that continent who would have similar ways of raising kids the way they did in your family as opposed to your culture. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, I don't think it's having said something about it earlier in the day. I don't think it's the sole. It can be like the only reason you're going to have a successful um relationship because like I don't know. The only successful marriage that I can vouch for is my parents. is my parents' own,
Yeah.
and all in all, they share values. Like we're having a group chat and we're talking about somebody, and we all agreed about the person's actions not being an honorable person's actions, because as a family we share the same values. We think something is right or wrong based on our morals, right? Because they raised me and they share similar values, but they also don't have the same work ethic.
Mm.
They don't have the same work ethic.
Right.
They don't have the same level of ambition, but they married each other. They don't have the same homemaking skills, but they
Mm-hmm.
married each other.
Mm.
I would think that you also need attraction at some level to be able to
Right.
maintain a relationship. So I don't know, like, I think for couples, it's very strange how you know what level of difference is okay and what level of difference is too much to make
Mm.
your relationship be successful. Does that make sense?
Right. I think also communication has a lot to do with that too. Like when you're communicating about how you, because sometimes the way you perceive or anticipate your family, it's one thing, but the actually doing it, doing the work, to um what's it called, to bring up a family. You talk about how you raise your children.
Mhm.
You're constantly in communication with one another.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, I notice when I say this you don't receive it well. Is it the way I say, that kind of thing? Because it's very, to be honest, I think it's very hard. There are no hard and fast rules to what makes a marriage work, because we're
Mhm.
different people, right? So like, to your point now, some people don't have anything really like that in common, even if they're from the same environment.
Yeah.
Some people, for instance, someone being able to cook is a big deal for them, but someone else is not a big deal. So I think it depends on how each person, perceives this whole relationship thing. Is it a, okay, take the person as you see them and grow from there? Or are you guys just going to um, try and error without any communication and see how far you can go? There's a lot that goes into it. To be honest with you, I don't even think married people don't have all the answers, to be honest. I think it depends on each individual and what each person is coming with, and their own understanding, and being able to communicate that understanding. I think so. I mean, hey, I stand to be corrected though. Natsu, welcome, my darling.
Area.
Area.
I
Who dey
don't know.
breeze?
Who they? I've never
Okay.
met God as you just say married people no get answer. Say well you don't talk and finish.
I don't know. No, because not true now.
Let me
You
tell
get
you, this
anybody
thing,
will know
this
and
thing, this
finish.
thing does not have
Mm.
manual.
Mm.
No be because say they born you for church, you will get sense. Or you become a pastor. You know when they say you give birth to a child and you don't give birth to his character, that's how marriage is. And people evolve. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
what somebody might see today and like might not be what you see and like tomorrow.
Mm.
So we might people. That's why you see people even changing religions too, because what you used to know and what you used to believe in with time, you understand that this is not what I thought it was. This is not what I want. This is what I want to believe in. This is where I stand, and nobody can change it because now you feel you're grown. You can make your own decisions that will be a benefit to your own life, and that's how marriage is. So, like you were saying, a person that's laughing about toothpaste. I had a friend that got married 2 years ago. This girl ticked every box. In fact, matter of fact, she ended up dropping the other ones for that girl. You know, he's only complaining about the girl. He didn't know how to brush toothpaste.
Mm.
And he bought her own toothpaste for her. So have your own toothpaste and have my own. So you see, all those things during relationship, by the time you start living in the same house with the person, and you find out that when the person is sleeping, the person is snoring, and you don't like snoring. Or she sleeps with her mouth open and her light drop on the other side, and that thing turns you on. Or he wakes up in the morning and his mouth is oozing. Like, it's just like, am I going to be doing this? Am I going to be doing this? Is this what I want? That's why that's solid. foundation of friendship, right, is very, very important. Very, very important, because even when you guys move from that love section, that friendship thing will be there go the own.
Mm.
And let me tell you one instance. I want a distant relationship first.
Your audio they go in and out to Natsu.
Can
I
you hear
don't
me
know
now?
if they happen.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it seems
Okay.
better now.
Okay. So I had a distant relationship first of all. So that made my own situation worse. So um when we got
Okay.
married,
Mm-hmm.
I was in Nigeria for a few weeks. I came back, went to Nigeria like twice before my husband came here. Let me tell you one thing. My husband is very organized. I'm not. That thing cause fights. We separate wardrobe. I see your own wardrobe because I'll be the same person that will arrange my wardrobe today. Tomorrow I'm looking for one white black. I turn everything upside down. By the time I find what I'm looking for, I just throw everything back into the wardrobe and go. I have a lot of shoes. My husband can't deal with that. In our house, I occupy like 3 closets. It's like I don't want to see anything outside. As long as they're all inside the closet, we're fine. Do you understand? I
Right.
used to don't I drink lightly. My husband drinks. So sometimes before going to bed, he just have his own one bottle of drink. And then I realized that if you take alcohol and go to sleep, if you wake up, your breath is something else. The first day I had that, I almost fainted. And the next time, he just went and took his own glass and came to bed and said, go to the bathroom, go and brush. He was like, I said, yes, sir. He was like, okay. So the moment I made that statement like twice, I wouldn't have to tell him. Now he knows. So if you meet somebody that is not ready to learn, that's another problem. Because by the time you guys see things that you people it's not aligning for you guys, it's also the values that you people believe that got married because of the values. Are like, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. And now you try to tell the other person, what can we do? And the person's like, this is what I know, this is what I do, and that's it. I'm not changing it. That becomes a problem. So honestly speaking, even having the same values, it just depends on the personality.
You
It
don't
depends on the
go. Okay,
it
you're
depends on
back
the
now.
personality, honestly speaking. So people are different. There's some people that are teachable, some people are not.
Mm.
Some people have coconut head, some people have bread head. So yeah, that's good. So it depends on who you're marrying. Honestly speaking, you might have that same value. Like that's one of the mistakes our parents used to make. They'll be like, "Oh, well, we go to the same church. I know you. At least we're the same denomination. Oh, they didn't change
Mm-hmm.
anything. It doesn't. It doesn't. Who is that person? Like, who are you? Who are you? Like, I know this is what you do. This is your job. But you as a person, who are you as a person? So that's the problem people have, and that's the issue people deal with. So I wouldn't say that it helps, but not 100%, honestly speaking, because people evolve.
Right.
But let's say when we're in Nigeria, I attended a Baptist church, Orthodox, right? They don't believe in wearing pants to church. I come America, they wear pants go church. So, yeah, the time I was in Nigeria,
Right.
if you say that, I'll be like, this girl wear pants for church, she normal. But now I'm here, it's a different thing. So
Okay.
that's why I say people change. So it depends on the environment too.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a
Okay.
good wife, this girl doesn't have issue, this is the perfect wife, and then you move to like a high breed area where people get money, start to the mingle with friends they get money, start to they fight you. I want this, I want that. And you know that your wife is not the materialistic type. Overnight, your wife will become materialistic because she has new set of friends. And you will
Right.
see if money start disappearing from joint account, before you know it, you start seeing your wife is stuff that you don't know. You start hanging out with people that you don't know. And before you know it, you are with someone else.
Mm.
So it helps, it doesn't, honestly speaking.
Okay. So, Marriott, so you because you said what are values? Let's start from there. Okay, that's a good place to start. So I pulled it up, right? So it says values are a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. right? And then the other meaning is the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. That's what values are. So values are personal to a person. I, I think I can say that, right? So because it's a person's principles or standards of behavior. So depending on my values, what I want out of life, what I expect or anticipate, or that hopefully I expect that the other person understands my values and understands why I hold it so dear. Mirabel, welcome. Oh. Thank you for showing up. Oh. I appreciate, madam. Let's give you your flowers. Thank you, madam, for showing up.
Mirabel saying her soup is still
Mirabel
what she
quiet
said.
when she start to dey talk now.
She's licking
I'm
her
walking
soup.
on eggshells
Don't
with
say anything.
Mirabel. Maybe Mirabel not fire me for you.
Hi, beautiful ladies. Hope you are
Good to
doing
have
good.
you, fellow beautiful
Hi,
lady.
beautiful.
Hmm.
So, Almayer, when I look at the question, the question, what's it called? The title of the video was, what the recipe for what, um, let me get back to it. The title of the video is a recipe for a successful marriage, right? That's what it is.
Is so the title
Mm-hmm.
is marrying someone with the same values, recipe for success.
Okay. So I was gonna say, first of all, there's no one recipe for success. There's no So
Right.
even if shared value was or is a recipe, it couldn't be the only recipe. The same way, there's no one recipe or ingredients to make a meal. It's a combination of a lot of things. And so with that I say no, it's not a recipe for a successful marriage. Of course, it's a contributory, it's not the only recipe, because there's no one recipe. And I agree that it's one of it. Of course it's one of it. But then, like, Natu is saying, I'm always saying this thing: this change is constant. And even if people go into a relationship with shared values, for example, even if that's the biggest recipe for success, people could walk into a marriage with the same values, and eventually someone values just changes based on, you know, environment, association, self discovery, whatever you want to call it. And that person's value changes, and now you no longer share those values as your partner. So if that was what you were banking on, then you're gonna go bankrupt, right? And then again, even with shared values, you can share all your values. So we could have some values we definitely share, but there are other values that we do not we do not agree on. And even in best case scenarios, we share all our values. We're just like perfect combination. We share all our values. There's still a spectrum to shared values. So for example, me and Amoye, we agree on the way children should be raised, right? Um to narrow it down, we agree that, okay, if Pekin Mumu, sometimes it's good to beat to the Pekin. Let's just like bring it all the way down to that. We agree on that. And why some parents will say absolutely no spanking, some parents could have that common ground where they believe that, yes, spanking occasionally works. Now, if that is one of our shared values, you can have a different spectrum of what level of spanking and how often, and I could have a different spectrum of what level of spanking and how often. Although we agree that spanking is something that we consider important part of disciplining our child, you might want to spank the child for basically expected behaviors. And for me, I could insist, no, I'm only spanking a child for bad behavior. And even if we agree to, okay, spank the child only for bad behaviors, you might want to give the child two strokes of cane. And I might just want to give the child a slap on their butt. Like, don't do that next time. You see what I'm saying? So now we share these values all the way to the core. But then you're giving the child, you're flogging the child like two strokes of a cane, and you're saying knee down, and you're giving one, two. The other person, your other partner is looking at you like, two? Why would you even use a cane? No, don't do no two strokes of cane. One is enough. Or you might decide to do three, and the other partner is pissed off at you because, like, oh, why would you do three? So even if you even share those values, the spectrum to which you agree on it differs. You can, one person could be at one end of the spectrum and the other person could be at the other end of the spectrum. So this thing called marriage, like Natu saying, it's complex. And make nobody say make married people can't talk, because sure, we're still all figuring it out. I don't think I'm any different from the next person that's not married, because we definitely are all figuring this thing out. And it depends on who
Wow.
you get married to. Like Natu also said, I'm like
Mm.
concurring with everything she said. It depends on who you get married to. People change. You yourself, you change, you evolve. Whatever you name you want to call it, change, evolve.
Mhm.
Whatever you want to call it, whatever synonym you want to call it. All of that happens, and it happens to the next person. And like I was saying, best case scenario, you share all your values, but still there's still going to be a spectrum to it. And sometimes that could even be a problem, because if I share the same value as you, it creates a lack of communication, because we already feel like we got this. You know how I feel about this, I know how you feel about this. So now I could go ahead and do it with the assumption that we're on the same page. But then while
Right.
I'm doing that stuff, I get to find out that I'm on a different spectrum on that stuff as you are. And even
Mhm.
being on the same page, we might not be on the same line. Some people be like, oh, we're on different book. We could still be on the same page, and I'll be on like first paragraph and you'll be on the fifth paragraph. And we're gonna clash
Mhm.
on that. you know?
Wow.
Um so it's so freaking complex. And this is just even bringing it down to shared values for the sake of argument. If that is like the number one core recipe, it's still complex, and it's still like shoot, it's still a lot. It's still a lot.
Wow.
But let me.
Wow. Interesting. I'm glad. I actually appreciate the transparency and the honesty in having these conversations, because sometimes when you want, because in some scenarios you have people say, well, you're not married, you wouldn't know, which for me I kind of don't 100% agree, because when if you've had some experience, you kind of have an idea, of, you don't have all the answers, but you have an idea. So, and we're all learning, like you said. I personally believe nobody has the answers, because no one, even married people, don't even have the answers. I've even asked my mom. I've asked my mom. She's had a successful and a long marriage with my dad. So I've asked her, like, how did you work it out? What happened? She's like, she didn't even know her marriage was going to last. I think that was the most honest one I've ever heard. She's like, I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. I just took it one day at a time. Sometimes it's like a moment at a time. Sometimes it's a day at a time, because you never know what each day is going to present to you. That's what she said. So I don't think anybody has the answers. I think we're just all trying to make the best of whatever experiences we're having, and see how it goes. As long as you're doing your own part, you're playing your own role, you're doing what you're supposed to do. um I think you can only speak for that. Even sometimes, Seth, I don't even, sometimes you doubt yourself. Sometimes you're like, am I even sure I'm doing this thing right? You know? So when somebody says that kind of thing, I think that in the case of my mom, for instance, that's brutally honest. Because she wasn't it wasn't like she was expecting, oh yeah, I'm gonna be married to this man forever. It just so happened that it worked out that way, with everybody doing their part, you know. Yes, there were times where they didn't get along. There were other times, well, they got along and it was all okay, you know. So I not sure say anybody get answer, to be honest. Wetin happen to you now too? Your audio abi your what connection? Felix, please call in. Oh, you were the only guy that had called in. I don't know what happened, whether your connection went bad. Please call Ego Sam, make una call in now. Make we
I
talk
want
this
to play
matter.
devil's advocate.
Okay, go ahead. No say na your way, so we are here.
Okay, so does anybody know happy couples that don't share any values together? They don't have any shared values. They're just, day at a time, winging it. They're so happy, so successful. Does anybody know anybody?
Well, the happiness is your shared value.
Oh,
Mm,
okay.
The choice to be happy even when they have nothing in common is a shared value.
No, I'm asking, does anybody know any happy? No, 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 no. I didn't say that. Does anybody know any happy couple that you consider successful couple that don't have any shared value?
That's a very interesting question
mhm,
because I I'm gonna be humble enough to say that I cannot know somebody enough. I cannot know a couple enough to know that they don't have any shared values. Because there's so many things that could be shared values. I cannot say I know anyone enough to know that they have no shared value. I can't know them enough to know that. Because I could say, yeah, from what I see, they have no shared values, but that's in the eyes of the public. There might be something that they share that we don't even know about.
mm. Interesting.
So I think it'll be a bit presumptuous to even say, yeah, I know someone, or I know a happily married couple that have no shared values. I think that would be like, you know, yeah, that would be a bit presumptuous.
Okay, so
Mhm,
Mirabel, wouldn't it be the same if we're flipping it and going, yeah, these happy couples have shared values. We don't know them. Look, my job is to play devil's advocate here, and I'm saying it. Let's flip it the other way.
mhm,
Yeah, because like we were saying, there's so much to shared values, and sometimes when we say shared values, we might be thinking about the big, oh, we have the same religious belief, we have the same political belief, we have the same belief when it comes to family and raising children. Yes, those are shared values. Those are like, one of the like those are like a few of the most popular one. But a shared value could be that, we at the end of the day we just like sitting on the couch and laying on each other and watching TV. That's a shared value, and it might not be as sophisticated and complex like what we call values, but that could be something they share. Their shared value could be something they do in the bedroom. And they agree that they both enjoy and they like it, and that's something they value, and that's what they share. So that's why I said
hmm.
saying you know someone that had no shared value is a bit presumptuous, because shared
Right.
value could be anything at all. Not necessarily the big things that we can see. It could be anything. It could be something silly where they enjoy just biting each other's ears when no one is
Hmm.
watching. It could be anything at all. So
Okay, so question. So doesn't that then contradict what you earlier said about the shared values not um,
doesn't it
stopping
contradict what I
people
said?
from, yeah.
What was that? What exactly are you referring to?
Hmm?
What exactly are you referring to? What
So earlier
exactly
when
did I say?
you were talking, you were saying that you concur with Natu, and then you talked about how even if people did agree and had shared values, they might not agree on the degree to which they actually share those values. So does it really hold water in terms of whether they can have a successful marriage or not, or whether it's a valuable thing? So I flipped the question and I said, do you know any couples who have successful, happy marriages who don't have any shared values? And
So
then you
how is that?
declined to answer. No, then you
What?
decline to answer, right? Because you don't know any of these couples. You don't know whether they don't have any shared values.
Mhm.
So, and then you countered that and then talked about couples who our home bodies. That's a shared value. So now I'm flipping that around to say, if they do have, they don't have to be complex things. That's why I said let's start with what is a value in the first place. They don't have to be big things, but I don't know how a couple can be happy if they don't have values that they share in common. I just don't see it.
But how is that contradictory? Remember, I said shared value is not the only recipe, but I said assuming it was the only recipe for successful marriage, I'm saying that there's more to a successful marriage than shared values. Because even if you have shared values, it's not a guarantee that your marriage is successful. So
Mm.
that is not contradictory. Because in as much as I agree that shared values are important, I'm saying that shared values is not the only recipe. And even if it was, there's still gonna be conflict in the marriage because there's a degree and a spectrum to even the values you share. So,
That's
We definitely
interesting.
agree on that.
so that's
Like,
not
Huh?
contradictory then.
no, it not quite, because
Yeah.
you were able to answer the question when we talked about couples who how having shared values doesn't mean that their marriage is blah blah blah. And then when we flipped it, then there was like, no, we don't really know that they don't share any values. So it is contradictory because you are not willing to speak on the flip side of it, but on the side where, okay, you do have shared values. Oh yeah, well, it might not be enough. Okay, so do you know any couples who are happy and who don't share any values? And it's like,
It's
no,
Yes,
it's
not
there
really.
it's
are.
what
Yes, there are.
Marriott though. Remember, at the end of the day, we're
Natu said there
saying
are. Okay,
yeah, and
Otobi
Marriott,
is
at the
done.
end of the day, we're saying shared value is not the most important recipe for success. So that being said, so it's a possibility that there are people that are still successful because your other recipe is like saying you need granite oil to make rice. Well, guess what? There are other things you don't have to have granite oil or veggie oil to make rice.
Pamoye
You could
did,
make
yeah.
rice without
Pamoye
it.
rice.
So shared value is one recipe. However, I'm saying of course, there are people that could still be successful without any shared. I'm not saying there's none. I'm just saying personally, it would be presumptuous of me to say I know one because I am humble enough to know that shared values could be the smallest of things, and I might not
Yep.
know people to that degree.
Yep.
But I am also saying that, of course, there exists people that have successful marriages without having those shared values because it is only one recipe. They could have the other recipe that could make up for what they are lacking and still be successful.
So I agree with, wait, who just spoke? Is that Mirabel?
There be twins, you can confuse them. Now Mirabel Sha,
Okay.
na im just talk now.
Mirabel, all right. So in agreement with what Mirabel said, right? Like we said in the beginning, there's no manual for it. Like what may be another man's food might be another man's poison. And the truth of the matter is, those values are those are, is one of the things that attracted you both together that even bring you to the stage of getting married. Was for some people, and then I would say the reason why you asked that question, and I say there are some people that have a happy marriage in quote without having shared value if the marriage is transactional. So if I want to get married because I just want you to have kids for me, that's all I want, then we can go ahead. If I'm marrying because you only have money and I just need a man that has money, I will take care of me. Any other thing, I don't care. I don't care if he has small bula. I don't care if he cannot do anything for me. Like, let me just have a husband that has that status, then you can go for it. But then if you're going into it because you are looking for companionship, you believe in the institution of marriage, this is something that you've always wanted to do. You want somebody that you share your life together with forever. Then we'll start cutting it down to those values, like who is he? Is he a Christian? Is he a Muslim? Does he believe in what I believe? Does he believe in stone? I don't believe in stone. And then you start agreeing to that. And I bet you on my life. Don't you have people that get married maybe like in Catholic church and they end up not going, the wife ends up going to some other church, different husband, some other church, or something happened along the way. So they might in the beginning agree to get married because they are both Catholics and their parents say you can't marry out of Catholic. And then tomorrow the wife will now say, I don't want to go to Catholic. I don't believe in all these Catholic things. I want to go to somewhere else. You people are already married. You can't tell her she cannot go. It's either you agree with her and say, okay, go, no problem. Or you say, I'm the husband, you can't move. There, katakata will start again. And that's why I say we evolve. We might agree on this and start on this, but that's why you see business partners fall out. Because in the beginning, this is what you agree, this is what you're going to do. But along the line, you don't understand that somebody's not contributing to the business, one other person is contributing. And you're like, this is cheating. I'm doing all the work and we're sharing the profit. I'm not going to do that. And you're like, you know what, let's close this business. And that's where divorce comes in. So that's my own take.
Like
Hmm.
Netu, just in like addition to what Netu was saying, um, yes, you might not share values, or you might start out sharing values and eventually no longer share whatever you consider the most important values. But then again, like we're saying, it's one recipe. So something that could help you guys still stay successful is your ability to communicate effectively, your ability to make compromises, and your ability to respect the differences.
Facts.
So if I used to share values with my partner, whatever that value is, and we end up being married, and someone is evolving, because it would always happen, you're evolving too, and the evolution could affect our values.
Mary, hold on
Now,
before you go. Let me sorry to interject. Just hold a second. I remember in the comment section I saw somebody wrote a Rosa, I think she said that the value that they share, like they both love food and they bond over food. Let's assume now, because of that, okay, you guys get married and you get pregnant, you don't want to see food. What will happen? If the guy is eating, he will be irritating you. Like, what type of eating is that? I don't want to smell that because my sister-in-law was the same thing. She and my brother-in-law can go around everywhere and be tasting food. When she was pregnant with her first child, you can't even cook the food in the house. We have to cook their food in my parents' house and bring for them. Because once you cook the food in her house and she smells it, she can't eat it. And then she has food that she can eat and food she cannot eat. And the guy was just
You
getting
guys should
frustrated.
carry on. I want to quickly get some water.
And the guy was getting frustrated because, okay, now she wants to eat okra without oil, just white okra. And he wants his own with oil and all the chemicals and no, but she wants it plain. No meat, no anything. Just cook the okra, put maggi. That's it. White like that. You know the one that they eat with stew? Or just put maggi for her own. She eat it like that without no soup, no oil, no pepper, nothing inside.
so yeah,
So can you see the change?
that's what we were saying. So you could no longer share values, but you could still be successful, because for me, I think one of the top three most important recipe for successful marriage is communication. um
Facts
not
on
even
fact.
shared not even shared values, because that shit could fail you, right? So that's why I was saying, like, the example the lady brought up, like the one that Natu was talking about, the lady in the comment section. So that was what I was saying, the ability to communicate, the ability to make compromises, and the ability to respect the differences. Because now, okay, I'm gonna have to communicate with my partner, because we could share that food values, and even we have the same soup, and then I start getting disgusted and I start acting out. I'm like, I'm disgusted by this food and all that, and I start looking at the food. Oh, I'm not making it, and then I'm not even communicating effectively. Not just communicate effectively. I'm not explaining to my partner that, okay, this is what this oil does to this soup. This is how it makes me feel. I get nauseous. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm not effectively communicating in a style that they understand. But if I am good, now that, like we say, also being able to make compromises on the both end. So now one person can say, okay, babe, since you still like okra soup, okay, but you don't want oil in yours, okay, so let's make the soup, right? Then when it's time to put certain things, I'll take yours out, or I take mine out, and then you make yours this way, and I make mine this way, and then we can still sit down next to each other and eat the food. And then the last thing that I said was the ability to respect each other's differences. Because still, she might still not want to even eat that food at all, even if the the preparation changes, she might still hate okra soup the entire time. Now your ability to, as a partner, be like, okay, let me just eat my okra soup by myself for the next 9 months. Let her eat whatever she's able to eat and not, get offended and not feel like the world is over because of that. It's you respecting that, okay, at this point, this thing not they work again, and respecting, and you as a woman also respecting that he still loves his okra soup and no be him get belly. And even if he's on the journey with you, he can still have his okra soup and you can go eat whatever feels better for you. So if you're able to do those three things, communicate, compromise, because you first have to communicate to get to a place of compromise. And after a place of compromise, you have to get to a place of respecting each other's differences, because sometimes compromise still creates differences. And sometimes compromises might be the other person making 70% of their adjustment and you making only 30, or it could just be that, okay, you do what you want to do and I do what I want to do. And then you both respecting it. So if you're able to do these three things, even when shared value fails you, even when you no longer share those values, you're still going to have a successful relationship or marriage. That's why we say the recipe plenty and it depends on the individuals.
Right. Nneka said something, right? Nneka, we're not disagreeing that people that share the same value don't have successful marriage. Let me just tell you some of the perks of people that share the same values. You see, even when you share the same value and you don't communicate well, it's not gonna help you. But if you share the same value and have that communication, then you know where to go when there's an issue. You know what how to address. And even if you share the same value, it takes that understanding, like how Mirabel was saying earlier, like you have to be able to understand each other. You have to be able to communicate. If and that respect has to be there. So if the other person is evolving, and what you used to believe or agree together is not the same, for you, the ability for you to be able to understand and accept and treat that person's growth as respect, as okay, this is what we used to do, but he has grown out of it. He doesn't want to do it like he want to do it like that. I still want to do it like that. It's fine. If it's fine, if he feels like you want to do it the old-fashioned way and he wants to go the new-fashioned way, do you, I do me. And when it comes to what it has to be for the family, we still come together and agree and make decisions that will help. You understand what I'm saying? So we're not saying that people that don't have people that share the same value, it happens. We're just giving instances where what if that value is not there or the value changes? You understand? So we just said people are evolving, people evolve. So that's just the point that we're trying to make. We're not right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
I think
go ahead.
when we did say it isn't the only thing that matters, none of us agree. No, 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 no. We're not missing the point, Marriott. We're not missing the point. We are just saying. We are just saying. We are giving our own. Like we said, it doesn't have a manual. What works for the person, but not work for the other person.
Mirabel,
So
they
we're just
play
sharing.
devil's advocate. She's trying to play the role very well.
Liver, they play. They play. So we're just sharing. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
should be
Having people
rewarded for my producer role that I'm
see.
doing right now.
Let's
If I was
let's
on a
ask.
reality show, they'd be
Champagne
paying me
for
good
you.
money.
Champagne for you.
Wait. Let's ask. So if you want to say now, right? Let's talk about some people that we think in quotes don't share the same value. Maybe they might probably share. What does Regina Daniel and Ned Nwoko share? What value do they share?
Oh,
Do
they
you
have
think they
shared
share?
values.
What is it? Being Igbo people.
No, the shared values that she needs security provision because
That's
she's.
transactional. That's the thing I said in the beginning. Why are
Wait,
you
you
getting
asked me
married?
now. Look, would you be with a man like that? No, because you don't think that it's okay to trade your pum pum for shelter and food for your family. But they both do. They do share values. You don't share values with him. They don't need any other
No.
thing. That shared value
No,
was
but
just keeping
honestly,
them there.
yeah, we're not saying it's not, but it's one of it. Trust me, it's the thing that even attracts you guys together. So even if it's transactional, that's what's
Yeah.
attracting you. You understand?
And in their defense, we don't know them personally. So
Well,
whatever
yeah.
values that we think they don't share, it's the popular values we're talking about. The
Yeah.
things that they might share that they would know or people very close to
Right.
them know. So we
Yeah,
don't
Right.
know
you know,
them
daddy
personally to say they don't
issues.
share values.
Yeah,
That
they
would be
Right.
definitely would.
presumptuous to say too.
Yeah,
Facts.
she likes being affectionate. Maybe he likes, being affectionate as well. Yeah, they definitely share values. I'm just saying, and that's not any example of any worthwhile marriage, by the way. But I think
That's
the
true.
reason I brought that up, well, partly because I just wanted a discussion, but we all understand that it's not the only way to build a successful relationship. And I think in the first couple of minutes, that's what we talked about on the chat. And I think for me, I'll just think, okay, this topic says, is it a recipe for a successful marriage? And it's better to have it than you don't have it. That's how I'm looking
Well,
at
yeah.
it. Yeah.
True.
As
It's
opposed to
one
True.
you
recipe.
don't
We
have.
all
That's why
agree.
I threw that question to Marib. Okay, so let's say you don't have. Do you know anybody who are happy? So it's not that we all agree, but it's just that we're just trying to explore the topic and just see
Yeah,
where
I
we
think
where we
we all
go with
agree
it.
that it's one recipe, and we all agree
Yeah.
that it's
No,
not the
yeah,
only
but it
recipe.
doesn't have a recipe. That is another recipe on its own. So that's why we say it doesn't have one recipe. A woman that marries a man that beats her and pound her every time, what are they doing? Like he's pounding, giving you black eye every day, you are still there.
There's some
Did
people
she
who
share value of
enjoy the
belief?
pound.
Sorry?
There are people who actually enjoy the pounding.
Nah.
Yeah, I know them. I
There
no,
are people who enjoy it too. I
I
think we
know.
don't talk about that enough.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I just wanted to put it out there that there are people who actually enjoy this pounding.
I
So
think
there's no answer anyone will give you that is right or wrong. That's just the fact.
yeah,
There's no answer that anyone will give you that is
I
right or
guess
wrong.
the point where maybe I disagree. So let me come in now. I think the point that where I disagree is and maybe this is just me being very myopic, and I probably am. I just don't see how you're married to somebody you don't have any values that you both share. I don't
Then
see how
did
you're
my
happy.
sister. My
And I
sister
and
did.
I get that this is me being very, very myopic. But I think of all the married people I've ever seen, they like some of the same things. Like when people say, "Oh, this
Why is
man
it
is so
breaking? Is it my
horrible,"
network?
is it? Is it? Can you all hear me, or is it just not to?
I think it's just not to.
Okay. So when people say things like, "Oh, this woman, she's so horrible. She's a terrible
Is it
person,"
me?
or
Are you guys there?
yeah, we're
We
here.
can hear you now, but you go in and out. You go in and then go out again.
Should I go ahead?
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. It was my
Yeah,
network.
When people say that, "Oh, this person is really, really horrible," or you have a video and you discover this person is the R word. And people say, I don't know how she's married to her. Like, I don't know how that man is married to her. She's so horrible. And one of the things that I've
right.
learned in my very young life is they are married because they have shared values. You
Yeah, but
don't
when they
marry
got married,
somebody
they
who's an
realized
R
that they don't have
person.
it.
Sorry?
That's what I was saying earlier. They thought they did, and when they got in the house, it was something different.
But I think that's in the example that I'm giving. When the wife or the husband is an R word and people go, "Oh, this man is so sweet. How could he be married to this R person?" No, he is too. That's why they're married. People get like no matter what people present out in the real world, and when they close their doors, something is binding them together. Some sort of rules that they both agree with, nod
True.
and agree in their bedroom,
Yes.
and they come out, and one person looks like a saint, and one person is a demon. Trust me, they're both demons. They're just presenting in a different way. So that's when I say, how can you
Hmm.
really how are these two people together?
There are sometimes that naivety causes some people, right?
Oh,
Because some
please.
people, I've met somebody that
With
is
the R
naive.
word. I remember when the thing was happening with John Legend and his wife, when she called the 5-year-old a C word and she bullied somebody and told the person, I think, to go and, hug a transformer. He got a lot of blowback because people are like, yeah, you present as sweet, but you're married to this horrific person. how are you pretending that you're
Love,
this?
love knows no wrong. If that's the only thing
Again,
that you guys are
if
seeing,
something is a value, what I'm trying to bring out here, and um then I'll allow everybody else to speak. What I'm trying to bring out here is something is truly a value for you, and the person that you're married to is the exact opposite of that thing. It's one of two things. It's not really a value for you, or you really believe in that thing. It's either a value or it's not. So for me, I personally, I've seen couples, and you see why they're together. Like they're not like on some basic things. They're not diametrical. They might be opposed on 1,001 things, but on maybe two vital things that keep them. There's something that is keeping them together that they both enjoy. That's what I feel is maybe why I'm giving this other opinion, is that those are values. Whatever it is that is keeping them together are shared values. And I
Right.
just don't see what a couple is doing together if they don't even share like things that they like. What is the goal then? Are you just here to just, I don't know, go shopping, go to work, and ask somebody to, I don't know. They have shared values. That's why they're together. Otherwise, they
Are
wouldn't
there
be
are
together.
there maybe are there maybe long and short term values for people? So some people go into something because they feel like this person meets, has similar value for now, because you can evolve out of it, right?
Yeah,
And then when that person is no longer, you don't see that they're sharing the same value, you're like, ew, time to go out.
yeah, I believe that. Like you can have major things and they can have small
see,
things.
you might share the same value, but the character is not it. So if you decide to
Mm.
take what is value and don't look at the character side, and then when you go in, you start saying this person is that. Oh yeah, you guys share the same value. You share the same like belief, the same belief, but
Mm.
that person is brought up in a different way entirely. But you decide to drop everybody and go with that person because you feel like you guys have stuff in common. But then, listen, when you're getting married, you're not getting married to a perfect person. That's one thing you have to tell yourself. And then you have to weigh, you have to know the person to a certain extent to see the good side and bad side. If the good outweigh the bad, and like you can't know all the bad things, and like some of the people, you like, what, I can, if it's that one, I'll deal with that one. He's an amazing person. I'll take the good side. The bad side will deal with it. It's fine. And that's when I start throwing my stuff around, I'll be like, just say, Madam, you understand? Just because you tend to look, this is what I'm saying. That this is not going to be my problem for now. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you're dating somebody, you don't see everything. The person does not sleep and wake up in your house. So when you're doing values, like that's what me and Mirabel are saying, that this is values is just like a piece of it. There are like a lot of things that come with it. Are you ready to deal with those things? If you just want to, because the person prays very well, she's in the choir, she knows how to sing, okay. And then you go to the house, it's different. You're like, I can't sweep every day. I can't mop every day. I can't cook every day. And you're like, I wanted a woman that is godly, that can pray, that can sing everything in church, tick, 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 tick. But forgot the other aspect, because she doesn't sleep and wake in your house. So you don't know how her routine is like. So by the time I start living together, you start seeing the other person's routine, and you be like, this person is a turn off for me. Her routine is whack. Like, oh my God, how is this person even existing? How can you do this? Then, if you don't have the shock absorber for that pressure that is coming with the thing called marriage, you start hating the person and you can't even handle it. And you can't even handle it. So that's what it is. We might have the same value, but what of the other aspect has to do with the person's life, the person's background, where he grew up? Okay, we are from the same culture, from the same tribe. We know the same thing, believe in the same thing. But is this person go, 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 go? How does this person react when he's upset? How does this person handle issue? Does this person try to look at the good sides of other stuff? Is this person hot or short temp or hot or cold? Blah blah. So you have the same value here, okay. But how does the person react to situation? If now they wake up and say you can't have a child, can the person handle it? If now they say you're sick and this thing happened to you, does the person have the shock absorber to deal with the pressure of going to work and taking care of a wife and coming and doing this and doing that and doing that? Can he? Values was not work on that. So
And that brings me to, sometimes I just the realization that It's easy to love someone you like. It's not always easy to like someone you love. So shared values, a lot of the times, is what we call compatibility. We talk about, oh, you have to be compatible. You have to be compatible. Part of compatibility is shared values, because when you share values, you're a lot more compatible. And like Natu is saying, we share values. For example, we both believe in God. We both believe in going to church this often and this much. We both believe in raising our family in a Christian way. We both believe in this. We both believe in that. We agree on this and we agree on that. We agree on, Christian values and a lot of things. And when you have those strong Christian values, a lot of the other things fall in place. You agree on a lot of things, and and you disagree together on a lot of things that you don't agree with, and it kind of, and then you have all the things you share as values. But now that's one thing that makes you love this person, your shared values. But over time, sometimes you start disliking that person. It might not be because your values change, it's just because of their personality, their attitude, how they handle situations, how they get in difficult situations, how they express anger, how they express emotions, how they treat other people. You start realizing that this person, yeah, you still share all the values, but this person's personality, this person's attitude, this person's um um identity does not align. It's not somebody you like. You know what I mean? You don't like them. You don't like how they handle issues. You don't like how they go about situations. You don't like them, but you love them because of your shared values. And that love stays for a long time, but the liking is something that comes in and out, where sometimes you like them and sometimes you don't. And like we say, because of situations and how things are, I don't, is that me echoing?
Maybe, okay, let me go on mute.
Okay. And because of situations and how you just don't like that person. And a lot of the times when you have not liked that person for a very long time, love no longer matters, and you no longer, is enough to keep you going. Sometimes you decide, okay, this is not going to work. I cannot continue to be with someone that I don't like. And when you don't like someone, you stop respecting them. And then you decide, you know what? You still share the same values, but you get to a place where even your shared values is no longer keeping you there. And you don't necessarily stop loving that person, but you just know that you can no longer continue in that situation. People share values, and like they say, they abuse their partners. But we share values, so what's going on? If we share the same Christian values, if we share the values to be kind to each other, if we share all of that, one thing is to share values, another thing is to act on them in your daily life. Another thing is to apply them. It's easy to barely be theoretical about all the values we share. But when it comes to the nitty gritty and when it comes to the practicality of it, sharing the same values does not mean that we're living the same values.
Okay, awesome. You know what? Since you mentioned compatibility, Mirabel, there's a quick TikTok video I want to share with you guys that I found, right? So I want to play it and you guys let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear it now? Oh, hold on a second. I think the volume was a bit down.
Off of compatibility just by itself can be a trap.
Let me start
Because
again.
first
Let
off,
me start again. 1 second.
listen to this. Going off of compatibility just by itself can be a trap. Because first off, you can be compatible with a demon. Like devils know what you like too. The type of women that you like, you want her to have more curves in the highway. The type of man that you like, you want him tall with broad shoulders and a beard. The enemy can send you pain gift wrapped as your preference. So that's just the first thing about how compatibility can be a trap. The second thing is compatibility is season based. It is possible for you to be compatible with the season of their struggle, but not the season of their success. I want somebody who's going to be there for me if I hit rock bottom. Well, what if they can only handle your rock bottom, but they can't handle your upward season? So now the question becomes, are we really compatible? Or do we just share similar dysfunction? We're both broken in the same area. We're both wounded over the same things. We have the same feelings over the same wounds, so we end up sharing hearts. But what happens if one of you heals and the other one doesn't? Because just because you heal doesn't mean that they're going to heal. And just because you heal doesn't mean that you can make them heal. What happens if one of you heal? You will remove what y'all had in common. And I want us to be so whole and so secure that when we heal, we don't end up feeling guilty because they're crawling, but we now have wings. It's not just about compatibility. It's about suitability. Does this individual suit my assignment well? Do they complement what it is that God has me doing in earth while I'm here in time? When a man or a woman has found that, that's a blessing. Because when God gives a blessing, you're not going to have to exchange your mental health as payment to keep it. So maybe you're so exhausted because you're breastfeeding toxicity in order to maintain an image of being happy over the very thing that you told everybody was a blessing. Listen to this.
Una here?
See, I absolutely agree with all this. And this is sometimes you want to say stuff, but someone else is articulating it properly. That's what we're talking about,
Exactly.
compatibility. That's what we're talking about,
No,
all the
but there's a
shared
statement
values
that he
thing,
made, and
you
I
know?
said compatibility is not the same with preference. So if you say I would love to have a guy, like I want a guy, if I want to date a guy, I want my husband to be tall. I want my husband to be have beards. I want my husband to be light skinned,
Six
to have
pack.
brown hair, to have this
Six
six pack.
pack.
And then the person that you're compatible with might not have that.
Person may
So
have
if you're going
big
with
belly,
exactly,
bald
so
head.
if you're going with preference, you might end up going with the devil.
Mm. Preach, sis. Where
Yeah, if you're going
microphone?
with preference, you might end up going with the devil.
But even if you go with compatibility, compatibility is seasonal. And
Yes.
that brings me to the point of trauma bonding.
And
I
that
Mm.
see
brings us to
someone
evolving.
today,
That
I
brings us
fall
to
in love with
evolving.
them, they fall in love with me. We are compatible because we're there for each other in our times of need, and we're bonding over, misfortunes, and we're bonding over
Mm.
difficulties, and we're bonding over the low level of life we're at that moment. And we're compatible because we get it, we understand each other, we can be there for each other, we can lean on each other. They can feel my pain, I can feel their pain, they know where I'm coming from without me saying a word. Well, guess what, though? That's the problem with that, too, because my life would not remain the same, or theirs might not remain the
That's the
same.
point. And you
And
might
we
have
might
different
change at
challenges that are
different,
separate from that
yeah,
one.
we might change
That's why I
at
say get a
different
shock
parts.
absorber.
Yeah, we might
Wait,
change
wait,
at different
oh,
parts
may
of
we
our
hear one
lives.
person first because this is a very solid
You know,
point. Mirabe,
we
yeah,
might
finish your thoughts.
we might
Sorry.
change at different parts of our life, and that person is no longer compatible with us because we're evolving and they are evolving, but it's at different pace. And that's what I was talking about. There's this thing I was saying about spectrum. We could be on the same page but on different paragraph. I could start evolving on a different, speed, and they're evolving on a different speed. And then I get to a place where we no longer meet each other at that place where we started. And at that point, we're no longer compatible because that person no longer understands what I'm going through because I'm getting better from what I went through. I am viewing things differently, and they're not at that place yet. And that's why I absolutely agree with what he was saying because compatibility is so evolutionary. It's ever evolving, that I might no longer be compatible with someone. I might no longer share your values. And even if I continue to share your values, you might just evolve in the spectrum of those values. And then we just realize that, okay, we're growing apart. And that's where we have to communicate, we have to compromise, or we have to respect the differences. And if we're not able to do any of that, then we waka, we go our separate ways. And it's so sad too because we have all of this, talk about, you got to ask all these questions. You got to know this. You got to be compatible. You find you're ticking, you're crossing all your T's and you're dotting all your I's, and you're like, okay, I got this figured out. And then you get into this thing, and boom, you get a present that you thought and then you open it up and you realize, shoot, it's always going to be a present. You will never know it until you live through it, until you be with this person, until you have to go through being with this person. And sometimes there's no advice, so you just do it. If it works
Mm,
out, it does. And if it doesn't, life goes on.
yeah.
Right? Let me say something real quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like two drivers. Marriage is just like two drivers. One loves to drive on the highway, the other person likes to drive local. That doesn't mean that you're not two good drivers. It's just me telling you about my experience on the highway and how I like driving on the highway and appreciating the fact that you don't want to deal with that highway while you're going local. That doesn't make you lesser than me. I know somebody in my church, she lives like 35 minutes from the church. She would never get on the highway, she would drive local. You can't put a GUN to her head. She's going local. That's her. But me, if I'm going from exit 1 to exit B, I'm using the highway. So if somebody has been driving before you and you just come and start driving now, that doesn't make you like a better driver because you've been doing it for a long time. No. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even if we start at the same point, and at some point I'm like, you know what? I don't want to deal with all these lights inside this local traffic. I'll just take the highway. But you cheering me when I get to the final point and appreciating that, oh, this is what you want to do, that's fine. But we're still here. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is where the communication and the respect comes in. You'd be like, my wife always like I would. My mother always tease my driving. My mother always tease my driving. Always. But we laugh about it. And that's what it
Mm.
is. That doesn't make it any less or anything. No. I will say this 1001 time. When it comes to like finances, my husband, like, I can't take that from him. He's like very, very good with finances. But me, I hold now, I can't even see where he has gone to. That doesn't make me less. That's his one area of strength. You understand what I'm saying? So even at that, is both of you like understanding what the other person has, understanding what I have, appreciating what that other person is bringing to the table. It's not just that shared values that you have. That oh, we agree, we believe on the same thing. If you have the same shared value, and your wife is a doctor, you're an engineer, and you can't talk about your job because nobody will understand what you're doing. That doesn't make it that you can't have a happy marriage. It's just you to
Mm.
be able to sit down and listen to what the other person has to say, even though you don't understand, and you're like, make your own little contribution. Same thing with the other side. So for the fact that I choose to drive on the highway, it doesn't make me better than you because you're going local, because that's what you want to do.
Right. Interesting. Oh, una bring a lot of things to think about and ponder on. I really appreciate. I'm glad that I came with this topic today because I was thinking, okay, oh, should I leave this for Saturday so we can, by Saturday something else would have come up. But let's be rounding up now because I want to close this down in 7 minutes precisely. So Marriott, my darling, the very first person to be here. I really appreciate you coming on. Can we have your final comments?
Oh, I don't have anything to say.
What did she say?
I don't
She
have
said she
anything to
doesn't have
add.
anything to say. You
I
guys
don't have
have
any,
finished
Oh
her with
my god.
information.
I don't have
Oh
anything to
my
add.
god.
But yeah, it was an interesting subject, and like we said, it can't be the only thing. There are multiple things that have to be there for people to be married, stay together. Um, yeah.
Exactly. No, that's it. Word up. Thank you so much, my darling Miriam. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
showing up number one all the time. Man, this year good, good, no worry. No worries. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Good night.
Good night. So, my darling Mirabel, our second twin sister, or our first, may I not go call you second, now you call first. Eh?
Go
I
enter
dey walk
trouble
on my
now.
tippy toes with you, Mirabel. Let's have your final thoughts on this conversation.
Uh, I just wanted to say, successful marriage, I don't know what the recipe is. Still
Mm,
figuring that shit out. Staying married, the recipe is a decision you make. You just decide I would stay there,
mm,
good or bad, successful or not successful.
Minus
You,
abuse.
I would stay there. No, that's
mm,
what I'm saying. Like staying married. Some people still
mm,
decide to stay even in abusive situation. So, like I said, I don't know the recipe for a successful marriage. I would say communication is one of my top three, effective communication. But when it comes to the recipe for staying married, I'm gonna say it's just someone's decision to stay, regardless of what's going on. The recipe for staying married is your decision to stay there. um,
mm.
and so I think everyone's gotta have to choose what success to them means, and you know what how they feel in a relationship to call it successful. And people also got to choose if they're making a decision to stay regardless of if it's successful or not.
Wow. That's actually That's wow, that's well stated though. That's a true, it's a decision whether you want to stay or not because it's not going to be rosy all the time. It's not going to be what you like all the time. So there's a obligation or loyalty that goes with on top of the recipe, right? This is one of the very important recipes to have. Loyalty and obligation if you want your marriage to last, if you want to remain there. So it's a personal choice at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Mirabel. You know I love you, even though you are the.
Let's
We
just
love
end it
you.
at I love you. Which one is
Exactly. I
even
love
though
you. I love
inside the
you,
thing
Mirabel.
again? Then
Okay, I know.
let me
No, say
know.
I don't quickly correct myself. I love you,
Okay.
Mirabel.
I love you too.
Have a
Thank you
great
for
night.
having me.
Sure. Thank you. My host with the most, my darling.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's take this home, man.
In agreement
Your
to what Mirabel said, there's no manual. Honestly speaking, it's just you being intentional, and that's it. It's you being intentional, like you have to be intentional to make it work. Like you're gonna say, I'm gonna make it work, regardless. You have to understand that you're coming from two different backgrounds. You have two different upbringings, and you should be ready to merge with what the other person is having and what you're having to see what you can birth out of it.
mm,
And then if you're going into it, you have to have a shock absorber because you're gonna see shit. You're gonna
mm,
see shit. And it's
yeah.
not like friendship where when the person just do something, you're just gonna like ghost the person and that's it. But you only already have a commitment to this one, and then you're gonna ask yourself, if I'm walking and I hit my toe on the stone, am I gonna cut the toe out, or I'm just gonna go treat it? You understand? So that's the
Right.
same thing. So you're gonna say, okay, what happened? So how can we avoid this? What's gonna be the next step? And like Mirabel said, effective communication is key. You can't put a price tag on that, honestly speaking. Because even if you people are growing on a different spectrum, the fact that you people are communicating and keeping each other updated, it helps you put yourself in the place of the other person and to see the other person at where they at. So that even if you're supposed to give them support, you will know what type of support to give
Mm,
them. And
wow.
lastly,
Mm-hmm.
what you give
Mm-hmm.
in marriage is what you get. Person away
Interesting.
from corner, they harvest rice. Oh.
Hmm. So if you give generosity, you reap generosity.
You're gonna get it, except the person is from hell. You understand what I'm saying? And then it
Yeah.
depends. like we said, depends on what values you guys get married to. If you are a Christian and you get married on a Christian value, then you're gonna do it according to God's will.
Right.
If you are a Hindu or a stone worshiper and you believe in stone, you're gonna do marriage based on that thing that you believe in.
Yeah.
So on my own side on what I believe in, I'm going with what God's will is for me.
Mm,
And that's
right.
what I'm sticking to. So that's why I would say it comes in different. So what are the values? What is the belief that you have for marriage? Why are you even getting married? What's the idea that you have for marriage in the first place? So if you're having because everybody's getting married, you're gonna be in trouble. If you're
Mm,
married because you're getting pressure, you're gonna be in trouble. If you're getting married because this is your mother's friend's son, he needs a wife and you're a wife material, you're gonna be in trouble. But if you're getting married because you believe you share the same value with that person, you're looking for partnership, that person has what it takes to be a partner that you guys can build on for life, then you have something to work on. And then with God, everything works out well for you.
mm. Interesting. Yeah, una do well with the knowledge. In fact, I don't even know. There's nothing else to add. Natu, I want to say thank you very much for your
Anytime,
contributions
Missy.
tonight. I really appreciate you. You know that I get
Anytime.
love for you,
I didn't join
special.
early because I went to get free food from my sister's house.
Oh no, that's okay. Whenever you can, my sister. I know say you and your sister, you know, so that 5 and 6 will not be
I went to get free
inseparable.
food.
So it's
Yes,
okay. Thank you
yo.
so much. I really
Bye bye,
appreciate you.
Martin.
Enjoy your night. Oh.
Wait, before I leave, God's child
Uh-huh.
said something. He said, Natu, you don't always get what you give. I didn't disagree. And I said,
Mm,
except the person is from the dash, 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 dash. And we have those instances so many times. That's why I
mm.
said, go in with the shock absorber.
Right. You
That's
said
why
that
you need that
earlier.
shock. Yeah.
That's true.
That's
God's
why you need
child.
a shock
She
absorber.
did say that earlier.
Yeah.
So most
That's why
of
you
it,
need.
maybe you probably have to like replay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
If you
true.
go with a shock absorber, once you give that and you don't get it back, you brace yourself up and you try again.
Yeah,
But if you go with the hope of putting and you're gonna get it, ugh. But most
yeah,
times, if you are on the same trend with the other person, there are chances that you get something from what you're given. You get the
right.
same energy back. You might not always. That's why I said people come from different backgrounds. You might not get the energy, but sometimes, like with so much work, it takes time. You might get it at some point, but you
That's
have to
true.
be intentional about it. That's why I said you have to be intentional. I mean, like, you
Mm,
know what? This is not what I expected, but I'm gonna do the work.
that's
So,
true. Thank you so much, my darling.
all
Mirabel say I
right.
no say but okay. Mirabel, are you satisfied now?
Nneka,
But
Nneka just did
I
that
love
comment
you,
section, just they
little
make
but.
noise. Nneka just they make comment for that comment section. I just they look at Nneka, they play,
Nneka no fit call in, that's why.
they play.
She say, "Ó dàárọ̀ èèyàn mi, ó dàárọ̀ o, my sister,
No,
thank
my
you."
own na say go be.
Say gobe, that's right.
Yes.
Good night. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
So,
All right. Bye,
guys,
boo boo.
all right, bye. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. I'm going to end with what God's child and Chinwe said, right? She's like, everybody believes in whatever they believe. Me, I'm not here to tell anyone what to believe in, but I think that there's something bigger than all of us that is, in control of everything that we do. So it only makes sense when you're going to do anything to get that thing involved. For Muslims, it represents something. For Christians, it represents another, whatever. If you, like Nacho said, if you worship a stone, you want to get that involved in the process as well. I think that's what really is able to make two people work together when there's like something bigger than you that's in control of the affairs. So definitely, it is a triangle, like between the head, which is God, the creator, and then you and the man. So if you're connected that way, there'll be a synchronization between you, the man, and your maker. And then God's child said, from all I've heard so far, I just want to say people should just do what is right by God's standard and expect the best, but don't hold anything too dear so that if it slips away, you can survive. This is my motto for life. I have kept this motto and it has helped me greatly. Give your best, do your best, expect the best. But at the same time, know that if anything happens, you did your part, and that's okay. It's just life. That's what happens. Don't beat yourself up about it because life will happen to you when you least expect it. It's very easy to judge people, it's very easy to assume that, oh, the person didn't try hard enough or whatever the case may be. But you never really know. You know, don't hold anything too closely that when you lose it, it wrecks your entire being. Nothing is worth that. Nothing. Nothing. Not children, not husband, not absolutely nothing. If you're completely surrendered, you would love without losing yourself. You would give your best without feeling like you've given anything. You would always have joy in spite of everything. You always have joy and be sad. You have this satisfaction from knowing that I gave my best, I did my part, right? So everybody can now analyze, was her best good enough or was it not good enough? Everybody limits different. Your limit for the best may be very high, another person's limit is middle, another one. So it doesn't matter. So yes, I would end by saying just do what is right by your creator, right? Do the best you can, expect the best, but do not hold on to anything so tight that when it slips away, it's almost like, let your life just let the person's life just kukuma end. Nothing is worth it. As you can tell, as everybody, at least everybody that listens to this video, it's quite clear. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody. Now, one day at a time. One day at a time. You don't know what you will meet tomorrow. You don't know what you will meet. Nah. Anything will happen for this life. Take am like that, shake am, take am, you do soap for body, rub am. Because na this life you meet am, na here you go live am. So there's nothing worth buying yourself over. There's nothing worth giving yourself migraine over. If you work, you work. If you no work, what's the problem? Life moves on. Keep on keeping on. And just know, say nobody get the answer. Nobody. You don't get anybody when get the answer. It's like giving birth to a child. When you born pikin, they don't dey attach manual to the pikin. You go just born the pikin, you just say you don't get the pikin or you adopt pikin or however. Manual no dey come with am. You fit say, okay, the best thing na to observe the child, see how the child be, so that you go know as you go take handle am. But a lot of times society they go want control that child, you know, control everything about them. Of course, you want to guide that child in the right way, but at the same time, you want to see and observe what kind of child is this? How do I handle this child? Because some children are very sensitive, some children cannot handle some of the things that we dish out. So you gotta know your child. So it's the same thing. No manual day with husband and wife matter. Nobody get the manual. The same way nobody get manual for pikin. Some pikin they come from they were born into good homes, had everything, all the opportunities, but nothing happens. It turns out they chose different in life. You can't tell. Nobody can tell. You're welcome, Mirabel. I'm glad we're able to talk about it. Good night, God's child. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Going with your shock absorber. Absolutely not to. You're right. Because when you go in with your shock absorber, you know, so okay, now my own I go do. Do your part. Anything will happen. Okay, this has happened, no problem. Now you can't know as you want to handle the situation. Now because at the end of the day, the decision is with you, you know. So yes, heaven is where the joy is, except you don't believe it exists. That's You know, so everybody get different priorities. For some people, not heaven. For some people, in another place. For some people, in another. You know, so everybody get what they believe. But the ultimate, we say, just know, say you and I are not in control of shishi. Nothing. We are not in. We think what we need to understand. The biggest takeaway is that you are not in control of anything. The only thing you have control over is your choice. You choose. They're not gonna force you, but you go choose which one you want to do, which way you want to go. But you are, even with that, you are still not in control. So when you understand what a surrendered life means, nothing go nothing go press you down like that, you know. But we're all trying to be the best version of ourselves, you know. We continue to strive, and whatever comes, you take it as you can, you know, and keep moving on, you know. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Neka, you learn, even me, so I did learn for you. Oh. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Me too, I enjoy them. So many takeaways, you know, but I really appreciate all of you coming today. Thank you so much, guys. And if you're catching this on replay, let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and don't forget to watch the ads. Oh, you know, if you don't watch ads, your girl won't get her coins. And guess what? Almost all my lives, previous ones, demonetized because we they use words, and sometimes I don't even put checks on it. As long as we're able to communicate and get those thoughts out, that's the biggest thing for me. So your girl hasn't been monetized, but thanks to all the people that have been supporting me with super chat, cash apps, and PayPal. Really greatly appreciated. But I'll see you guys on the next one. And until then, have a wonderful night. Stay warm. Don't look for trouble, oh, Mirabel. I love you, special. Marriott, I love you all. Thank you. I'll see you in my next live. Bye.